Today's episode was sponsored by New Economy CPA.
Maybe as an elder brother, being the tiebreaker, being the one who says, yes, that's an idea that's worth pursuing, or maybe this one, we're just not quite ready for that yet. That's just how he is, and this is how I am. And we harness that natural ability, that innateness in us to better our company.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another season of the Rocket Fuel podcast, where visionary and integrator duos from entrepreneurial companies share a behind-the-scenes look at their relationship. These amazing leaders blend their unique skills to create Rocket Fuel. I'm your host, Mark C. Winters, co-author of Rocket Fuel and an expert EOS implementer. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Mervin and Raphael Lei, a brother visionary integrator duo from Winneram International, Inc. They've been a family business since 1991, specializing in the import and distribution of quality branded Asian grocery products and providing full service export to Pacific Islands. They also give a portion of their proceeds to the Lifelight Foundation, which focuses on educating disabled students. So guys, thanks for being here and welcome to the show.
It's our pleasure.
Thanks, Mark. Excited to be here.
I'm excited and curious to see what all we'll get off into today. So first thing I noted is you're a second generation family business. So talk a little bit about what that's like and what it's been to kind of be this second generation coming in for a business that's been around, for really a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Our father started the company in 1991 together with a business partner. I came in 1996, so not too long after they started. Really being his right-hand man. He was our original visionary and entrepreneur, built it, bootstrapped the company. And it's been a lot of changes. We've seen a lot of changes in the industry as well as how we run the business, just getting into the next generation, no longer entrepreneurial, and how do we get that to a more professional level.
So a lot of times when, one generation sort of takes over for the prior generation, sometimes that's really messy. You get all the family dynamics going on. Sometimes the next generation doesn't want to. Sometimes the next generation isn't really cut out to. Sometimes there's egos involved and competitive things and all kinds of weird stuff like that. Did y'all have to navigate anything much along those lines, or was it all pretty straightforward and seemed like the logical thing to happen?
We saw a lot of companies, like friends of ours who ran companies, and their fathers didn't do succession in the right way, and they're no longer around. I think it's a tragedy, but kind of fortunate. Our father started going blind when he was mid-40s. He has retinitis pigmentosa and macular degeneration, so double whammy. And that really forced him to trust my brother, who was in the business already, delegate and elevate before he even knew what those concepts were. And he was forced to trust us, so the succession of the business went a lot more smoothly than I think other businesses do.
So before that, I don't know if you've talked to him about this, but did he have a vision that it would be a multi-generational family business? Was that the intent? Or was it just kind of, we're just starting a business, we're doing our thing, and then, here he encounters this health challenge, and so it sort of brings it into, look, we kind of need to do this. And again, as you mentioned, to trust and lean into figuring out the succession plan.
I don't think he had a plan. 1991, we were both in high school, and he's like all of a sudden starting a brand new business. I don't think he had much in his pocket, and he's like just back against the wall, just trying to get a business successful to raise a family.
Age difference between you two is what?
We're 2 years apart.
Who's older?
I'm the elder.
You're the elder. Okay. And so you came into the business first just because of that, because you were older, or was there some other dynamic?
I think there was a lot of that first son syndrome.
Okay.
My choice in where I went to college was partially dictated by how close it was to home. I was here helping even during college, 2 days a week, coming in, helping with the books. Someone was going on maternity leave, so I'd help out. summers. We were definitely, both of us in the summers were definitely involved in the business. And I think my father, like Mervin said, his back was against the wall. He was really just trying to provide for us. He's got 2 tuitions to pay for. It was really day to day. It wasn't until I came in that he realized, okay, maybe this can actually be a multi-generational thing. How do I plan for the future? How do we grow the business in a way that's sustainable and benefits everybody, not just looking at tomorrow?
Yeah, I ran from the business as far as I could.
We'll talk about that. Was it because why? What drove you the other direction?
It just looks so boring. I mean, I'd come to work and see my dad sitting behind a desk all day long and just, talking on the phone. And it's like, I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. Went to school at UC San Diego, pursued music, just tried to do anything but business. And then when I met my current wife, I was like, I got to make a little more than starving musician income. And so I came back to the company, and my dad started me in the warehouse 2 years while I was he made me get an MBA. So both of us got our MBAs at Pepperdine. And
not a very beautiful place.
Oh no, terrible.
Just right on the beach.
Suffering.
Well, we were in the executive program, so like there's an extension campus in Culver City and Pasadena, and it was we got to graduate on the campus and walk that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So do you still think of it as a multi-generational business? Are you thinking about that kind of a future?
Absolutely. We both have kids who are high school age.
Yours in college.
All of them profess not to have an interest in the company, but we've heard that before. So
I didn't either.
Exactly. We're running the company as if there is going to be a successor generation. We have a next level of management that we're raising up and, really training to be in the business so that we don't have to be in it quite as much. The hope is
that's one of the things we learned from EOS, right? Is like, hopefully the owners are not running the business, and day to day we can build up some leadership teams and delegate and elevate. Right.
So talk about, as parents with your kids, knowing kind of the, maybe the first son dynamic was a pressure to, and maybe the, it looked boring, so the pressure not to, right? So those kind of forces that worked on you as you're growing up, how do you approach that as a parent with your kids to kind of, not have them go too far in either direction, but let them just kind of be open to it as an option? I don't know. How do you think about that? Parenting the next generation.
We're going to let them discover it themselves and try. I actually would prefer them to work outside for a bit, get some experience from other companies.
That other companies pay for?
Yeah. If they like it, they like it. Some stuff that maybe we're not doing well here, they can learn and bring it back to us. Or if they're happy outside, continue. At least we have a next generation of leadership that we're training already in preparation. Nice. And another thing, Raphael, I don't know if you mentioned, but we didn't enjoy our dad being our boss Monday through Friday, and then family dinners, all we talk about was business. So we kind of want a level of separation between that. So this next generation of leaders is training our kids, and we're not the ones that are responsible for them.
I like that. Raphael, anything you'd add to the parenting perspective?
Yeah, I think it's always, as entrepreneurs or business owners, we know the benefits of owning your own business, running it, the joy and satisfaction of seeing something successfully launched. We want our kids to pursue their passions. We want them to be happy. But we're also developing this business with the intent that if they did want to come back, there would always be a position for them somewhere. They would start at the bottom, and they wouldn't be managed by us. There is no free lunch in this world. Our father definitely did not believe in that. The way he managed the succession was that we bought shares from him. so that we were invested in the business. There's no free rides on this train.
Love that. Love that. So true. So, Raphael, I understand you're a bit of a reader, and somewhere along the line, you got a hold of the book Traction. How'd you get it? How did that show up in your hands?
It's funny. We had managed service provider come out to us, and they were talking about, he was doing Traction, and then he said, I'm not sure your company is a great fit for us. You're not quite what we're looking for in a client. And I was like, no one's ever said, come to a call and then say you're not a fit. What is happening? He's like, yeah, we really identified what our client base should look like through Traction, our ideal customer. And he said, here, you should read this book. Let it help you, glean what you can from it. I devoured that book in a weekend. And it was where a light bulb moment went on. Like Mervin said, we both went to MBAs. We had read all the great books,
right.
How to manage businesses, how to manage this part of the business, how to manage that part of the business, but nothing tied it all together. And this was this book that was just like, this is how you do it. This is the roadmap for it. I'm like, oh my God, my mind was blown. I told Mervin, you have to read this book. This makes everything we've done in the last 10 years so much more understandable. And we dove right into it. Our current implementer, Josh Holtzman, he was the last speaker at my Vistage group right before COVID lockdown. So March 2020. And, I came prepared with questions. It was one of the few speakers where I actually came prepared, to talk about the material. We continued talking about it for a couple more months. And then August, we called up Josh again and we said, I think this is for us. We need to go down this path.
We were meeting in my parents' backyard.
Yeah, so I heard about that, right? So first of all, Josh is a fantastic EOS implementer. I love Josh. He's really great at
awesome.
what he does. Great guy. And so your first one, Mervin, was in your parents' backyard. So did Josh wheel in a bunch of portable whiteboard? What did that look like?
Yeah, we all sat separated. And then, it was still early. We had no idea what was going on with COVID. And he was 5 to 10 feet away from us with a whiteboard and just doing it all. He could give us the folders, and it was all off that whiteboard. No electronics. Now he's got this nice fancy, board.
The Vibe board.
Computer. Yeah, it's great. But it was very, very rudimentary back then. So
in that time, of course, it was a crazy time for all of us, and everybody had to kind of adapt and figure out how to do it. So we did a lot of sessions via Zoom. So talk to me about why you thought it was important, or Josh thought it was important to do that one in person and kind of do the backyard version. You remember thinking about that? Was that intentional, or is that just kind of the way it worked out?
I think it was intentional. We started doing Zoom for all the various things. Our Vistage meetings were in Zoom, calls with our vendors were in Zoom. And there's something that you lose in that in-person connection, that immediacy of bouncing ideas off of each other, of being able to follow a thread and also not talk over each other. That's one of the frustrating things about video. You don't know when someone has finished talking, if there's a lag. Just the immediacy of all of us being together in the same area was, I think, valuable. In addition, everybody knows the first 2 sessions are all-day sessions. I had no desire to sit behind a computer screen, looking at a screen at Josh, as handsome as he may be, for 8 hours. That would have been a lot.
Yeah, I think it ties into a little bit of what we are as a company too. I mean, most of our business has been for 30 years a handshake business with all of our vendors and customers, and that face-to-face, getting to know the person face-to-face is really important for us.
Yeah, I experienced that in working with clients. Zoom's great, and you can do a lot, right? So it's super to have that as an alternative, and it's very effective, particularly with people that you already have that relationship with, right? Mm-hmm. So if we've known each other for a year and we've met and spent time and all that kind of stuff, then hopping on Zoom, it's no big deal. But boy, when you're first coming out of the gate and you don't really know each other yet. It's slower, I feel, to kind of build that rapport and really begin to trust each other. So that's cool that you started out and you've got a backyard story for your EOS implementation. So just give the audience a little bit of context. I don't want to miss this in terms of the size of your organization. So how many people? How big is your organization right now?
We're currently at 48 employees. We run a warehouse staff. We're a food distribution business, so we have 6 trucks that we run all through Southern California, from San Diego all the way up to Fresno. We have 5 sales that travel throughout the country. I think before COVID, we were at about 30. So we ramped up pretty quickly just with the demand and the complexity of the business post-COVID.
Yeah, cool. Mervin, your LinkedIn profile says that you used to believe it was a bad thing when they said, "Oh, you're such a dreamer." Well, why did you think that was a bad thing?
This is getting into my childhood and everything. Typical Asian culture. Your choices are become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer, and go to an Ivy League school, get straight A's. That's about the extent of life, right? I had no desire to be either of those. I was not a straight A student. I think this gave me a sense of value or sense of worth. Reading Traction and reading Rocket Fuel, like it was, I don't know how to say it. I mean, to find that you actually have some value for what you do, what comes natural to you, all of these things started to make sense. Like, I had a leadership emphasis in Pepperdine for some reason. I was just drawn to that. My strengths finders was ideation. Colby, I'm like an 8 quick start, pioneer. And it's like, why am I built this way? And to find that the visionary is actually a role that, is integral to an organization is something that I never thought of as a kid. And, it's for the last 3 years, it's been really empowering to know that, hey, I have an important role in this company, not just a role. And there's a reason why you have all these ideas and why your brother's always saying, nope, that doesn't work.
Today's episode is sponsored by New Economy CPA. Have you ever felt frustrated because you're not getting what you want out of the data component of your business? If so, meet New Economy. New Economy helps companies running on EOS gain control of their financial data to make smart decisions to build and grow their business. With a mission to unleash the full potential of the entrepreneur, New Economy provides outsourced streamlined bookkeeping and accounting services, outsourced controller and CFO services, tax consulting and tax preparation services. Visit neweconomycpa.com to learn more. That's how you're wired, right? So it's validating to learn that, okay, this is a thing, right? It's not just a bad thing or something. I'm not just different in a negative way, but it's a real thing, and it does have value. So I hear that a lot where, people, for whatever reason, how they were raised or the situations they've been in, whatever it might be, they don't realize it. And then the other side of the coin, Raphael, is the integrator piece of the equation. And so you'd probably never heard of that until you read Rocket Fuel or until Josh introduced it to you as part of your EOS implementation. So what was your reaction to discovering that there's this integrator role in the world and that you were one?
I think it also relieved a lot of things for me. I have an easy way. I don't want to say easy way, but like spreadsheets come very natural to me. the idea of manipulating numbers to analyze results and things of that nature. And also maybe as an elder brother, being the tiebreaker, being the one who says, yes, that's an idea that's worth pursuing, or maybe this one, we're just not quite ready for that yet. Like, there's a role for that too. And I felt bad before always saying no, or no, we're, shutting down idea after idea, when that's just how he is. And this is how I am. And we harness that natural ability, that innateness in us to better our company. And I think it's just unique and just valuable that we both have fallen into what's naturally been our roles.
Did you feel like you were really different growing up?
Me?
Speaking of reading,
yeah,
yes.
no, each other. Did you feel like you were different from each other growing up?
Oh, absolutely. We were night and day. I think, the joke is that we can't, one of us must have been found because we're so different.
One of us
Mervin
must have been found.
Where we were switched in the
Nicely
hospital. But Mervin was always very, very active, very athletic. He got along with a lot of people. Always seemed to be very outgoing. I was definitely more of a homebody, introverted. I read a lot, not quite as athletic. But I was more studious. So there was different interests that we pursued, even as we were young, that kind of set us apart. Most other brothers, sisters, they seem to be a little bit more homogeneous.
I heard you used to fist fight when you were kids.
Yeah.
How did that go?
It would usually go with me sneaking into his room while he's reading a book, flick his ear, run off, and he'd chase me down and beat the crap out of me. And then that stopped around high school when I got big enough to defend myself and joined wrestling. So,
there you go.
But very typical story for us.
You were motivated. So does that, do you fist fight? Does everyone break out at the office where, you just can't take it anymore and we're going to settle it the old fashioned way?
No, but it's the whole part about visionaries and integrators driving each other crazy at times. We do, get into verbal disagreements and yell at each other at times. But we've tried to do that privately more now, if there is an issue. And I think that's the difference with us. It works for us because we've been doing that our whole lives, right? We'll get into arguments and then we'll work out something that hopefully is for the betterment of the company. And I love that part in Rocket Fuel where it's the positive and minus energies kind of, the more polarized there are, it creates like this good energy, right? And that's kind of, for us, we work through the challenges of like him saying no to things and much easier just because we've had that relationship for so long.
Are there other family members active in the business right now, or is it just the two of you?
Right now, well, my mom is technically still the controller.
Okay.
She's looking to retire at the end of this year. So for all intents and purposes, it's just the two of us.
So as you think about, really implementing EOS purely, and, we talk about the owner employee rules of the game, where you can't play the special card that says, oh, I'm an owner, or I'm a family member, or something like that, gets you special treatment and gets you out of the obligations that come with the seat or seats that you sit in. Has that been an issue? Has that been something you've had to work around, or has everybody been really so committed that, that hasn't been much of a thing?
I think the area that we experience that the most right now is in me wearing the sales manager hat.
Okay.
I'm not a great manager. That's just, I think my follow through was like 2 or something on Kobe.
There you go.
It's pretty terrible.
That goes with a nice high quick start.
Yeah.
Mine's the same. So it's good. It's good.
Getting me out of that seat has been something we're trying to figure out. And, even like doing one-on-ones with Raphael, because he's technically my supervisor in that role. Like I dread that. I'm like, God, why do we have to do one-on-ones again? It's just, I can't, it's hard for me.
Well, Raphael, is it easy for you?
Being a manager or
Well, no, managing
my
your brother, right? So holding him accountable as the self-admitted sales manager that's not a very good sales manager. Is that what I heard?
Yes.
Right? Okay.
It definitely is challenging. It's how's your team doing? What are the big problems? What are the big challenges that they're facing? And it's definitely has been challenging over the years. We're getting better at it. It's something we work at constantly. Just not letting, I can see his frustration sometimes and not wanting to deal with it and work on his marketing focus, which he loves, because that's kind of feeds into the ideation and the big dreams. But also knowing that, sales is actually super important for us. Without sales, there's no revenue. So we are also very cognizant of that and know that that's the next seat that he needs to be replaced out of.
Yeah. Some of the difficulty, sorry.
You're good. Keep going.
Some of the difficulty with that is, since we're a family business, some of the people who've been with us have been with us for 20, 30 years. And my dad hired them. They're great as a sales team for, what we had in the first 30 years. But now, as they're even looking to retire, like we're having to train new, younger salespeople. And so I've never had to do much of this training of the salespeople. And now it's like, oh man, it's even more evident. Like I need to get out of this seat.
So how many seats, Mervin, how many seats do you sit in? So visionary and sales leader, anything else?
Visionary and VP of sales and marketing.
Okay. So 2 seats.
Yeah.
Right. And Raphael, what about you?
I technically sit in the integrator and VP of finance seat. So
okay. So question on that. What percentage of your time and energy do you think you spend in the integrator seat versus the head of finance?
We have a really good head of accounting who we're training to become the next VP of finance.
Yeah.
And I would say my time is split maybe 60-40 as integrator versus finance.
Okay. Mervin, what about you? What percent are you able to spend in that visionary seat versus running sales?
Oh, man. What I actually do or what I should be doing? Actually doing, I probably spend 40%, maybe 30% of my time doing the sales management portion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So wearing the 2 hats, so Raphael, you actually report to yourself over there in that finance seat. So that's always interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So, you're each wearing 2 hats. One of my earlier interviews, I was dealing with a duo that were each wearing 8 hats.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine? Right. So I was going to ask you how hard it is to keep the hat straight when you're wearing 2, but I'm sort of jaded after I've listened to somebody try to explain how they handle 8. But I'll ask it anyway. So how do you do it? Do you kind of call it out? Hey, you're talking to me, or I'm talking to you as this seat or that seat? Is that a challenge in any form?
Sometimes,
I think in a small business. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say sometimes it is a little bit hard to remember that. Like for example, when we're doing our VI meetings,
yep.
I start thinking about sales things that we should be discussing. And then I realize, no, that's a separate topic that I also have to have a meeting with him for. This is an important one that should be focused on. So sometimes there is a little bit of that. But I think for the most part, we've been pretty good at separating the roles and knowing if we come to each other, it's like, okay, I'm speaking as this person, right? I'm speaking as the integrator. This is the direction we need to do. We need to slow down on this. Or I'm speaking as the VP of finance. Our overhead is too high. We need to cut expenses. I usually try to be pretty clear about that.
Mervin, does that seem to work pretty well?
Yeah, definitely. I think as a small business, we still do have certain things that we're doing. There's times where you're trying to fix the toilet. There's certain accounts that we still keep as sales. So Raphael does some sales. Now you
get to hold him accountable there. How's he doing on that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You enjoy that, I bet.
I'm like, I never had a one-on-one with you as a salesperson.
Well, that's because you're not a very good sales manager.
Exactly.
If you were a better sales manager, you'd be all over that. Lots of things are becoming visible here between you two. I can see it.
Yes. I should. I'll have to talk to you about your client.
Yes. No, my clients are all great.
They're all doing great. All right. So something else that April shared with me out of the pre-call here was the Lifelight Foundation. So tell me about the Lifelight Foundation and why that's important to you.
Sure. So our father, like Mervin mentioned, he started going blind in his 40s. So that profoundly impacted the trajectory of our life. Having, coming into the company to support him because he couldn't do simple things like reading and replying to faxes. It was still faxes back then, right? Early 90s. Right around the early 2000s, I think, my father wanted to give back. So Lifelight Educational Foundation was really set up to help the blind in China. There's not a lot of social services available for them. So a lot of the blind are really left at home. They're last to eat. They're a lot of times uneducated. They work with schools in China to teach the kids acupressure and Chinese therapeutic massage so that they can start bringing in money home. It transforms their life. All of a sudden, they're not just an expense. They're actually an asset, something to be cherished in the family. It's been transformative for so many of the children there. And we see the value in it. We see the changes that he makes, the impact he has on those families. So 10% of our distributions go towards supporting that charity.
Love that. Yeah. I love entrepreneurs, and that's a great example of why. I really believe that entrepreneurs are the answer to so many of the problems that we face as a global society, and the impact that you can have, whether it's in a marketplace, socially, through the folks that work for you, through your clients, or through a great cause that you resonate with. That's awesome. So that's super cool. I appreciate you sharing that. So one last topic I want to kind of tap into before I let you guys go is when you reflect back on the days since, Josh broke into your parents' backyard and began to teach you about EOS. So kind of go back to then and to now. And when you think about the Visionary Integrator duo, that structure and what that's been able to do for you, the operating system of EOS and what that's been able to do for you, how are things really different? If you could kind of just try to boil that down for me, what's different now as a result of those things versus where you started back in 2020?
There's a different level of professionalism, I think. Our new vendors see it. We just got off a call this morning where one of them was like, "Oh, I really like that you guys have core values, and that's very uncommon for Asian independent distributor businesses like yours." And I'm like, yeah, that's very common in the rest of companies in United States, but yeah, it's not common for us. And so it's really brought us to that next level where we have a core focus, we have a mission statement, we have an org chart or our accountability chart. Like all these things give us structure and a system to follow that. We were just kind of you said it before, Raphael, running blindly, I think it was the way you were putting it before EOS. And a lot of our team was running blindly too. We weren't sharing scorecard numbers. It was kind of, the salesmen didn't really know what they were, how they were performing. It was like, look at the end of the year and see how we do and go with that.
Interesting. Raphael, what would you say? What's the biggest difference that you see today versus that first backyard meeting back in 2020?
We're not running around like the roof is on fire. When you're a small company, everything is urgent and important and needed to be done yesterday. With EOS, we're able to step back and say, what are the big things we want to do this year? What's truly important? What's urgent? And what can be put off till later? having that framework then reduces the day-to-day stress for all of us. I just had an employee tell me just a couple of days ago, it's like, you used to get mad a lot. You don't do that anymore.
Wow.
We've been so calm this last 2 years. And I truly credit it with EOS, delegate, elevate, finding where I truly fit within the position. I'm not doing the 8 hats, right? I'm focused and concentrating on what I need to do. I have people I trust, focused and concentrating on doing what they need to do. And it's been transformative.
Love that. Yeah, we often talk about EOS as a system to harness and focus human energy, right? And get all the arrows pointed in the right direction, in the same direction. And a lot of power in that.
Yeah.
A lot of power in that. You can really move stuff when you can get the organization behaving in that fashion. So,
well, if you don't know who you are and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, it can be so frustrating. So
right. So imagine if we switched your seats.
Yeah.
If we flipped your seats, how would that go?
Not very well.
I possibly could be a better sales manager.
That is true.
Not that seat. No, but see, Mervin wouldn't be holding you accountable as the integrator, so who knows what would be happening.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
my
would
gosh.
definitely be chasing all the shiny objects.
Yeah.
Right. There's no framework for what's the big rock that we're trying to do this quarter. Everything would be shiny and we'd be implementing, 100 different things. And that's how we were before because we didn't know what was important.
So I'm curious, that vendor or whoever came to see you and said, you know what, you're not a good fit for me. If they came back and met with you now, what do you think they'd say?
Well, the funny thing is after we implemented EOS and we went back to talk to them and they actually are our MSP now and we're both growing together.
Yeah.
He's also introduced me to a lot of other companies that are also running on EOS. It's a whole community where we all speak the same language. We all understand the struggles that we're going through. We're all trying to improve ourselves, and they're all a joy to work with.
Love that. Yeah, community is such a big part of it, isn't it? Yeah, we're not doing this alone, and we can learn a lot from each other. So, all right. Well, before I let you go, if people want to find out more about your business, if they want to find out more about either of you or connect in some form or fashion, what's the best way for them to do that?
Winneram.com. We're both on LinkedIn, Instagram, we have Facebook. Email us, info@winneram.com.
Okay.
All the modern ways.
All the modern ways. We'll try to be sure those are captured in the show notes. And I just want to tell you, I am so grateful to both of you for spending a little bit of your day with us here and some of your story. And my hope for this program is that we don't all have to make the exact same mistakes, all over the place, that we can learn through stories and through shared experience that, okay, that's what I shouldn't do, or that's what I should do. And hopefully get there a little faster with a little bit less pain. So I know that your stories today have helped some of our listeners in that way. So I'm grateful to you for that. And to our listeners, appreciate you taking your time as well to spend with us and listen and hear these stories and then go do something with it. So thank you for listening. If you like what you're hearing, please tell somebody, leave us a review. That's how other people find out about us, and hopefully we can help them a little bit as well. So that's it for our episode today. Mervin and Raphael, thank you so much for being here. And until next time, go Rocket. All right. Great conversation with Mervin and Raphael. So let's take some of that discussion now and let's go to the Rocket Fuel Toolbox. There's a few things that jumped out for me on this one. One was, Mervin talked about the different energy, between him and Raphael. And, we talk about the charge. He was talking about the positive and the negative charge. And we talk about how far apart those are. That polarity sometimes drives really the strength of the duo, right? So if we're exactly alike, there's only so much energy that comes out of that. But if we're really different but complementary, then that really is a lot of power to work with if we can get it focused in the right direction. So that was interesting to hear him say. When we talked about the biggest difference they've seen over the time of having their VI structure and implementing EOS, a couple of things they went back to: the delegate and elevate tool, that got them really clear on what they should be doing, what they shouldn't. So bringing that focus in, so they're not just running around all over the place, but they're really laser focused on the right things. The scorecard for sales. So, before sales really isn't looking at the numbers, they don't know where they're at. So even though Mervin is the self-admitted, not the best sales manager in the world, he did talk about they've got the numbers there. They're paying attention to them. They know where they need to be. So we've got that kind of focus brought into the function, which is super powerful. They talked a little bit about the hats. Keeping the roles straight. And Raphael brought up, we're sitting in one meeting, and one issue around something to do with sales, where an account stood or something like that, began to come up in their Visionary Integrator same page meeting. And again, even though it's the same two people there, it's helpful if we can put those issues in the right compartment, if we can put them in the right meeting. And that really was a more appropriate thing to discuss in that sales meeting or in the quarterly conversation that Raphael would have with Mervin as the integrator with the sales manager. And really that's the last tool I kind of noted out of this one was the quarterly conversation where it's kind of tricky because, one's reporting to the other in a certain seat, but then the other's reporting to them in another seat. So we got to keep those hats straight, but we got to have those quarterly conversations so that we can be really crystal clear on what the expectations are around core values and around GWC for the seat. So, it sounds like there's probably an opportunity for Raphael to turn it up a little bit as he's holding Mervin accountable for that sales leader seat. But then in turn, for Mervin to hold Raphael accountable as a person on the sales team who has an account that he's responsible for. So it sounded like he wasn't doing that. So he kind of got an awareness of that, but we want to keep having those quarterly conversations. Again, the idea is we're coaching them to success. We're being crystal clear on what those expectations are around core values, what those expectations are around GWC. So it ties back to our core values on the VTO and the core values speech. It ties back to GWC and the specific roles for a specific seat on the accountability chart. We're using that people analyzer to bring it into focus. And the manager is assessing them with their version of the people analyzer, and the employee is doing the same for themselves. And then they're looking at those together and seeing where are we aligned, where are we not. If we have exactly the same scores all the way across there and everything's good, then that's fantastic. But more often than not, there's some differences. And we get to dive into those and talk about, wow, why are you seeing it that way? Or am I seeing it this way? What's the difference? And clear that all up, make it visible so that we know exactly where we stand. And if it's anything less than the bar, at or above the bar for RPRS, then boom, there's an issue. There's something we still got to work on. We still got to get that corner turned because we don't want to have anybody in this organization that doesn't fit our core values and that doesn't hit 3 yeses on GWC for their seat. So that pressure's there. Use that quarterly conversation tool to help drive that home. So that's what I saw in terms of the Rocket Fuel Toolbox today. So, a couple of things. I want you to go to rocketfueluniversity.com if you have not and take the assessment. Check out the tools we've got available for you there. Join our community of visionaries and integrators and learn more. And I just want to thank you again. Thanks for listening and thanks for being a part of what we're doing here. And until next time, go Rocket. Make huge leaps on your journey towards EOS mastery by joining us at the 2025 EOS Conference in Washington, D.C. Happening April 2nd through 4th, the week will feature engaging breakout sessions, ample network opportunities, and can't-miss keynotes from Gino Wickman and the best-selling author of Atomic Habits, James Clear. Our biggest event of the year, this is the place to connect with other business leaders, learn from entrepreneurial experts, and strengthen your implementation of EOS tools. Go to eosconference.com to register now.